Hi everyone. Thank you for joining today's workflow webinar. My name is Rain and I'm a customer advocate here at OWL. As someone who is passionate about seeing practices succeed and seeing practitioners really maximizing their time, I definitely wanted to show everyone a user-friendly tool in OWL that will help you keep your practice organized and well kept. Before I get started, I also wanted to remind everyone that you will be muted for the duration of today's webinar, but there is a chat feature in GoToMeeting where our customer advocates are available to address your questions as we go. There will also be a Q&A portion at the end, but if you cannot stay until then, please feel free to email us at any time at support@owlpractice.ca with any follow-up questions you may have. Our team is always happy to help. Today we'll be navigating throughout the Workflow tab in OWL. The Workflow tab is a great tool to have for your practice, whether you are a solo practitioner, a practitioner part of a group practice, or even an admin assistant. This tab allows you to organize, optimize, and identify all of the administrative tasks that you need to complete. Specifically, I will be addressing the following 6 sections in the Workflow tab for today, and again, follow up with some of the questions you may have towards the end. Let's begin. The workflow is divided in 6 different task types: attendance, to invoice, unpaid under 30 days, unpaid over 30 days, notes, to-dos, forms, and measures. I will further expand on all sections shortly, but would also like to highlight that all items in the Workflow tab can be further organized based on location. You will be able to view tasks for each location you may have separately or all together if needed. If you are practicing in one location or entirely online, you will not need to use the location dropdown. If you are an owner of a group account, the workflow will include every therapist's tasks, as well as your own if you practice yourself. Therapists included in group accounts will be limited to seeing only the sessions they have been assigned to in order to achieve compliance. The first tab you are directed to when you click on the workflow is attendance. The attendance tab is the area where you will be able to keep track of all of the sessions that have not been assigned an attendance status yet. For example, instead of reflecting back on the calendar page to see whether you may have forgotten to mark a session as attended or canceled, you can visit this tab instead and get an overview at a glance. The most recent sessions are located at the top of the list by default, but this can also be arranged so that the oldest sessions take precedence. This can be done by clicking on the date heading. Marking attendance is crucial to not only keep your practice organized, but because it is the first step of the billing process. Invoices and receipts cannot be made until attendance is updated. The attendance tab can also be filtered based on the therapist who hosted the session, the service type, and the supervisor who may have been assigned to the session. You will also be able to select and directly mark attendance with one of the following choices: send any forms or measures to the client, or view the session's details and make any changes if needed. Once you have marked attendance, the session will then be removed from this list. The section I would like to highlight next is the To Invoice tab. The To Invoice tab is the area where you can keep track of all of the session charges or non-session charges that have not been added to an invoice yet. This tab can also be filtered again by the therapist that hosted the session, the supervisor assigned, its payment terms, which I will address shortly, the service name, the type of session it was, and the cost of the session. Auto-invoicing is the default invoicing method when you first sign up for OWL, meaning as soon as you mark attendance for a particular session, an invoice for that session will automatically be generated for you. However, you may have clients that do not want an invoice for each session and would rather have one invoice that includes all the sessions they have had with you in a span of a month, for example. These clients will need to be set to the bill manual invoicing method, meaning their sessions will need to be added onto an invoice you create. All bill manual sessions will be stored here, but even sessions that are set to auto-invoice can also be stored in here if you have decided to delete the invoice generated for that specific session. To create an invoice, you can simply select one of the sessions on here, click on Actions, and Create Invoice. From here, you will need to select a date range these sessions lie in between. And once that is done, you may select or deselect any of the sessions you wish to have or do not want to have on this invoice. You can also choose to invoice one particular session by clicking on the specific session, then selecting the Invoice Now option. The next tabs we can look into are the Unpaid Under 30 Days tab and the Unpaid Over 30 Days. These tabs will allow you to keep track of sessions that have not received payment yet. Let's first look at the unpaid sessions that have occurred less than 30 days ago. You can use this tab to follow up on clients and their payments by clicking on the initials or clicking on the client's initials like so. This will open up their client summary, providing you easy access to their contact information, like their phone number and email address. The client summary will also show information about the client's current balance, their attendance percentage, their account details, such as their status, any discounts they may have, and when their OWL profile was created. Once payment is received for a particular session or for multiple sessions, you can now go ahead and record payment. The record payment window will allow you to choose their payment dates and select their method of payment. Clicking record payment will then generate a receipt that can be directly emailed or printed for the clients. Other actions, such as generating a client summary, can be done as well. There are two types of summaries. Each summary can be grouped together based on the date range you choose. The account summary will provide the client a list of all the sessions they have attended with their total balance owing listed at the bottom. The session summary will list all of their past and future sessions within the date range. You can also make financial adjustments for specific sessions if needed. The same functions I have mentioned can also be applied to the Unpaid over 30 days tab. However, this tab will also include the ability to mark sessions as bad debt. Bad debt sessions, alongside with any other sessions in the Unpaid under and over 30 days tabs, will be recorded in your AR reports found in the Dashboard tab. The workflow can also keep track of any outstanding session notes you have not created or signed off on yet. Again, these sessions can be further filtered with the following options. A create note status means that a note has not been created for this particular session yet. A see note status means a note has been created, but it has not been signed off yet by the appropriate therapist. An in review status means that a session note has been created and signed off by the appropriate therapist. However, if this session has also been assigned a supervisor will need to finalize and approve of the note by signing it off themselves as well. If you yourself are a supervisor for other practitioners, notes you will need to sign off on will appear in this tab. Using the supervisor filter and selecting your name will provide you with the list of notes you will need to sign for. Whether you are supervising or not, creating and signing off on your session notes will remove them from this list. The To-Do tab will keep track of any client-specific tasks that have yet to be completed. But before I go into the To-Do tab, I first want to show you how to create your to-dos. You would first need to visit one of your clients' profiles. You can click on the Clients tab and locate your client profile through here. But you can also type in their name in the search bar here, then be directed to their profile. On the very right-hand corner of their profile, you can then click on the plus symbol with 3 horizontal lines. Click Add to Do. Choose its due date. Then type in your reason for creating this task. You can then now visit your To-Do tab and review every client-specific task you have created. Once a task is complete, you can now go ahead and remove them from this list by selecting the task and marking it as complete. For those who are subscribed to a Lite Plus Video, Premium, or Premium Plus Video plan, will have the following extra tabs. The Forms tab will keep track of any unsubmitted forms you have sent to your clients. It will show you the type of form you sent, who it was sent to, how much of the form has been completed, and the date the form was sent. If your client has forgotten or has accidentally deleted the form you have sent them, you can easily select the form and resend it. Resending the form will also update the last reminded column. The Measures tab, on the other hand, will keep track of the unsubmitted measures you have sent to your clients. Like the Forms tab, you will also be able to see what type of measure you sent, who it was sent to, how much the measure, or how much of the measure has been completed, and the date the measure was sent. You will also have the option of resending the form or resending the measure if needed. Forms and measures will be sent from OWL to your clients' emails, and you can customize your message within your form or measure email in your settings, client portal, and forms and measures tab. OWL does provide a default message for both your forms and measure messages and reminders. However, you can definitely add in your own text and select which macros you would like to include. Macros are codes that will fill in with the appropriate information. For example, the client name macro will be replaced with the actual client's name once the message is sent. Now let's get back into the Workflow tab. From here, we can also look at some of the additional client-related actions that can be done directly from the workflow. The tabs I've shown you above are great for reviewing and updating day-to-day tasks, while the Actions section is great for when you know exactly what task needs to be done for a specific client. For example, you can create invoices for specific clients here. You will simply need to type in your client's name, and just like how I showed you previously, be able to select or deselect sessions you would like to be included in this invoice based on the date range you choose. You can also record payments. Again, type in the client's name, then click Record Payment. Any outstanding sessions that have not been paid for will appear here. If this client owes you for more than one invoice, you can specifically add how much the client paid for each session by typing in the dollar value into the field next to the session. Recording payment will then be completed once you select the payment method and click Record Payment for the receipt. You will also be able to generate a client summary as shown earlier for a specific client. Again, we have two types, the account summary and the session summary. You'll also be able to send your clients the forms you have, as well as some of the measures we have in OWL as well. And lastly, you'll be able to export client data. Data that is exported will depend on the client you choose, the date range, and the type of document you select. Thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. I hope that this session was helpful and informative. Please refer to our FAQ pages to familiarize yourself further with any of the features we discussed today. If you have any questions or feedback, please email support@owlpractice.ca. We are happy to discuss these with you further and how you can implement them into your practice. For anyone who is interested, please stay on the line and we will be starting the Q&A portion of the webinar now. Please type any questions you have in the chat box, and one of our customer advocates or myself would be happy to help. Julie Ann was wondering whether forms that you have currently can be uploaded into OWL, then sent directly through OWL. Right now, we don't have the ability to do so, and forms will need to be created in the form builder. Hi, Diana. Thanks for providing us feedback. I think just because it is specific to your case, you can definitely contact support at owlpractice.ca, and they'll be able to assist you with that question as soon as possible. Nathan asked, how often are updates with new features pushed out? So we generally try to have something update about every or 2 to 3 times a week. Please feel free to ask any questions you have in the chat, If there are any final questions, please type them in now and we can address them. Diana asked, in the workflow, if we haven't unpaid for more than 30 days, what happens after that? So any sessions that have been unpaid for more than 30 days will be left in the unpaid over 30 days tabs in your workflow. If you no longer wish to have that session on that tab, so for example, if it's been unpaid for a really long time and you no longer want to see it anymore, you can select that session and mark it off as bad debt. And by doing that, it'll be removed from that tab. But you can always refer back to that bad debt session when you generate your AR reports in the dashboard tab. All right, if that is all the questions we have for today, I'm just going to wrap up the webinar. Again, thank you everyone for attending. Bye and have a great day.